back at it again. Okay. Let's see. So, funny story. Remember yesterday I said I'd wake up more than 15 minutes before starting this. And I tried to go to bed early and then didn't fall asleep until really, really late. And then for some reason, I couldn't sleep for over the last hour or two. So technically I have been awake for a while. But I failed in the getting rest department. So I tried my best to wake up even earlier. Oh, howdy. Good to see you in the chat. Yeah, that was funny. I was like, I'm gonna go to bed early. I'm gonna wake up a little bit earlier, so I won't be like half asleep by the time I wake up. And then I couldn't fall asleep. And then I also woke up way too early while trying to sleep. So I'm on like, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, thanks. If it's not one thing, it's another thing. So over time, hopefully I will have the morning where I'm like, wow, I was fully rested and I woke up more than 30 minutes before streaming. All right, cool. Sorry, I'm just flipping back and forth between these two panels. So here we go again. Master Shots Volume 2 challenge. I don't know how many times I need to do the summary, but you know what? I'll do the summary because, like, you know, it's helpful for newer people. And if anyone hops in, it'll probably be useful. By the way, Master Shots Volume 2 challenge, as I call it, is a straight ahead storyboarding challenge where the goal is to draw an average of one drawing every 15 to 20 seconds for 22 minutes. And then what you do is that you take 2 prompts from the book Master Shots Volume 2 by Christopher Kenworthy, and you take them randomly. You have a like random dice generator or something like that, and you combine them, and it is your goal to get those shot types or camera moves or whatever into your scene as you're storyboarding straight ahead. So for instance, this was yesterday's session, which turned out pretty cool, all things considered. Turned out a lot better than I expected it to. It was a story about some sort of sci-fi story about a guy and, I don't know, some sort of end of the world thing that's happening outside, and his brother has to fix a machine and he can't fix it. Maybe it was their dad's project or something like that. I don't know. It was a lot of fun. And the whole story and script and everything was just made up on the spot using techniques from the prompt. Okay, cool. All right, so you may notice I am in a square aspect ratio today. That is because I'm just feeling like it. We'll see if I keep it. I'm probably going to try and do the same technique from yesterday, where the panels are set up like this. But sorry. I'm thinking this through. I'm also really tempted to keep on using the same prompt over and over again until I get really, really good at it. Like, you know, instead of just doing a new section or a new prompt every day, it's like do a prompt for a week until like I understand that prompt inside and out. But that might be something for later. That might be a test for later to figure that all out. Because that might be better for putting less stress on me each morning. And then also it allows me to make the scenes more interesting every time. Ideally. Alright, I'm getting my dice generator. I didn't pull it up yet. It is on its way. Okay. So, what was rolled? What was rolled was 82, which is going to be section 8.2 from the book. Yeah, I'm going to do a new section, unless I really, really hate it. So I'm going to flip through the book and go to chapter 8.2, and it is intense emotions. Ooh. Huh, okay. This is interesting. This is actually, you know, fate seems to be missing. Section 8.2 is a freeze reveal. A freeze reveal is almost like a focus on one, just in the opposite direction. So that's literally what we did yesterday and the day beforehand, was the focus on one. But a freeze reveal is basically the same idea, but just in the opposite direction. All right, so you know what? Give me a second. Sorry. I'm changing the order of this text because I realize it's kind of weird whenever I do the opening bit in the morning to describe how fast the drawings are and then say at the end of it, like, hey, you're also using a prompt. I think it makes more sense to say take 2 prompts, then draw. Okay. All right. This is going to be a fun morning. Okay, so what's a freeze reveal? A freeze reveal, as soon as my scene saves, is, as I said, it is basically the focus on one, but in the opposite direction. So freeze reveal, like an example would be like, hey, people are, you know, 2 people are walking and talking, you know, they're like, hey, you know, hey, howdy. And they're talking, you know, they're having a good time. And then maybe one of the characters says something and he gets a little bit further ahead in the conversation. And maybe he says something, so he's a little bit further forward in the foreground. He says something that then throws off the other character. And so what happens is the other character might keep on walking or he might stop. And then the camera pushes in on him. And then he's like, wait, what? And then we will cut to like a new scene. So like that's what a freeze reveal is. It's where there's motion and there's movement that's happening. And then whatever is said by like character number 2. So here's character 1. Whatever is said by character number 2 stops character number 1 in their tracks. And this is kind of comedic, because it's usually used in comedies or scenes that are more comedic, because it's a character having a sudden realization that stops them dead in their tracks. I'm trying to think if there's any like dramatic uses of this kind of scene. I guess you could technically, if you wanted this to be dramatic, if you wanted to use it for a drama and not a comedic moment, because this feels like something that would have been used in like Back to the Future or a whole bunch of movies from the 80s, 80s or 90s. You technically, if you wanted to do a dramatic version of it, I'm gonna write dramatic here so that people are aware that it's dramatic. You could have like a walk and talk where 2 characters are talking, and then maybe there's a reveal of information, and the other character just stops. I don't know. Maybe they just stop in their tracks while the other character keeps on talking. And you see this character doesn't even see that their friend just stopped in their tracks. The problem with this is that I think the main intent of a freeze reveal is to focus on the person who is most affected by it. Assuming that they're a primary character or that they're the protagonist. The main character of the scene, I guess, would be probably the best way to describe it. It doesn't need to be a protagonist. Okay, so here we have character number 2, or character number 1 here. in the background, May looking down at the ground, and they're like, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean all of the food in the refrigerator is gone? This changes my whole worldview. I was about to eat it. And you're telling me that someone else ate it? You know, it's yeah, no, it's a good book. It's very simple and easy to read. But it just, yeah, the book, Master Shots Volume 2 by Christopher Kenworthy. Sorry, I got to say the whole title just so people don't think it's my book. You can buy it online, off of Amazon or something like that. I think it's like 10 or 15 bucks. It's not too expensive. But the book, see, now that I'm just, I can talk about the book. It's broken up into sections. So it's like section 1, then also, so you have like chapter 1, which has like 10 sections, and it's just 10 different shots that are related to chapter 1. So chapter 1, I think, is something like conflict. You know what? I'm going to use that as an example. But so then what it will be is 10 different sections on different ways to stage conflict in a dialogue scene. So I would recommend Volume 2 personally. Volume 1 is like 100 different ways to make your short film or indie film look better. I think that's what the subject is. Volume 2 is 100 plus ways to make dialogue scenes look better. And I think that is a lot more important for storyboard artists, and people who are trying to make engaging drama, because using cool visual effects, or not visual effects, but cool camera moves and stuff like that, which is mostly what Volume 1 is focused on, is good, but that's not as important as, are the dialogue scenes interesting when they're happening? And as I've mentioned before, I think in an earlier stream, is that a common issue, I'd say, with like beginning storyboard artists, and even myself, that like this book helped me so much years ago, is that there tends to be a habit to rely on like over the shoulder shots, or, you know, I rant about these every stream, but basically rely on very, very basic camera setups for dialogue scenes, or just turning every scene into a talking head scene where it's like, hey, it's characters talking like this the whole time. While Master Shots Volume 2 is completely dedicated to, hey, you're doing a dialogue scene, here's how you do it so it doesn't look like this. And that to me makes the book much more useful, because it's just saying like, hey, you need to do your dialogue scenes good and you need to make them look good. And here's a whole bunch of different methods and techniques to do it. So that's what I'd recommend if that's, you know, if that's your area of focus. To me, it's just more useful. I own Volume 1 and Volume 3 because there's 3 volumes. And Volume 2 is the one that I always go back to. It's like, it's the one where I learned the most from it. While Volume 1 and Volume 3 have cool stuff in it, they're not, they don't really help me tell a better narrative. So, all right, yeah, sorry, I'm giving a long-winded explanation. See, that it's good that you ask that, because every morning I have to have a lecture on something, on some topic, and I need to give a big opinion on it. Okay, I just rolled the dice again, and I rolled 108, which would be section 10.8, and I actually need to double check that that's actually a section that's in this book. I thought yes, it is. Okay, so I'm going to find section 10.8. There is not a section 10.8. Okay, reroll. There's a section 10.5. There's not a section 10.8. Okay, I rolled 50. All right, 50. That'll just be... Okay. What the heck? All right. There's not a section 50. There's a section 5.1. I'm okay. And then of course my next roll was an 80, which there is not an 80. There's only an 8.1 because that's how this book works. I might just round it to 5.1. I might just do that. That's funny. I rolled, yeah, okay, so yeah, I just tried rolling like 5 more times, and each one is a section that is conveniently not in the book. That's so funny. So either way, I'm gonna do section 5.1 because that is closest to 50, and we're gonna do long lens space. Okay, so this is interesting. So long lens space. Okay. Yeah, we'll see how this works. Long lens space is essentially where, I'm trying to think how to describe it, because I know the example that's used in the book. So long lens usually compresses distance, and so it compresses distance and makes characters feel closer to one another. So this is technically an over the shoulder. I know it makes me shudder, but I'm just messing. So it compresses distance, and then with long lens space, or at least the prompt in the book, is to then do an extreme wide angle after the long lens space to then emphasize the distance between two characters. So essentially what you're doing is you're playing with the depth where you have this character, here's character 1, here's character 2. This is kind of the example that's used in the book visually. So basically character 1, maybe they're interested in character 2. And as they are getting closer to them, we get also closer to their emotions because their face gets proportionally bigger due to the long lens as they're talking. So they're getting closer in space, and then we're still cutting back to the extreme wide angle as they're approaching the subject. Because this is the thing of interest. This isn't really, yeah, this is more of a, I don't know how to describe it. It's more of a setup technique than I'd say for something that you actually use in the dialogue scene. It's kind of more of a setup for the dialogue scene. So, yeah, okay. Today's going to be interesting. I think I said that yesterday, but I think today's actually going to be interesting because, again, this is more of a setup for dialogue than I think what you use during the dialogue. Long story short, what this does is it creates emotional attachment to this thing. It's, this shot, this long lens, the long lens shots show you the character's emotions as their emotions are getting bigger. And then the wide angle shots, wide angle shots then make it feel like that thing's more distant, and then it's more interesting as you're getting closer to it. So it's basically, these are the emotion shots. This is the thing that they're emotionally drawn to. And so this is good for if someone's going to go meet someone and they're excited, or they're waiting for someone and then they see them. Or you could use this for anything. It could be like, like a jar of cookies, like sitting on the counter. And your long lens shot will be like some kid who's like, wow, cookies. I know he kind of looks like a vampire. Maybe the cookies are out of focus, and we use this extreme, like, wide angle lens as he's approaching it. And there's like a glow. I think, yeah, bloody cookies. Yeah, so you see this kind of using this ultra wide angle lens here on the cookies as the camera would push up towards it. So it'd be even better if there was a moment like as we're pushing in, like you see we're even further away and we can see the tiled floor and everything like that. Maybe there's a chair over here. See, this makes as the camera, you know, pushes in. So here's the long lens. So it's like very shallow depth of field. Everything's blurry in the background. We can see his emotions. And then as we're pushing in towards these cookies, everything seems big and bold and dramatic. And so then that draws attention to this. It makes it feel more, I don't know, connected. I don't know. It feels like something that you're drawn to. I think Taika Waititi, I think he uses this in a few of his movies. I think Hunt for the Wilder People, I remember him using it at least once or twice. Because it's kind of funny. But you can also use it for an emotional scene. But in the context of this, with like cookies, it's funny. For the context of this is more emotional and dramatic. Okay, so interesting. Okay. Sorry, this is going to be tricky because freeze reveals are a little bit more comedic. And then long lens space is almost the opposite. And I need to figure out how I can combine both of these into the scene. This is interesting. Huh. Watch me sit here and what is it, pontificate on this scene. I might just do the cookies. I might just make that what this scene is about. Trying to think if I still want to do things from this angle. Yesterday I was really excited about it, but now I'm a little bit more nervous. All right. Okay, I have my brush. I can draw now. Cool. That's good. So it's also a nice rainy day outside right now. Okay, cool. I'm getting my interval timer out. And during rainy days, I storyboard differently. Like, my brain's in a different space. And so, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to do a 5-minute session of drawing, and then, yeah, if this scene works, then, if this scene works, then I will just continue it, just like yesterday. Yesterday, I did a 5-minute session, then went, wow, this is really cool, and then continued doing that scene. And then I think I'll do the same thing today, where it's like, hey, if I start this and it looks like it's going in a good direction and I like it, then we'll continue going this direction. And if it's not good, then maybe something else. But okay, cool. All right. What should be the opening scene? Okay. I think I have an idea for how this is going to work. Okay, cool. All right. 3, going to have a lunchbox sitting on a table. Yes, we are going with the cookie version of this. It's gonna be a lunchbox on a table. It opens up, you know, kid opens it or something like that. Where and we can kind of, the camera kind of peeks in so we can see that there's sandwiches and stuff like that. And there's an arm blocking it at first. And so we can see that there's no cookies in here. It's like an apple or something. I don't know. And then the camera. Oh no, the kid's gonna grab the corner of the box. He's gonna dump it over, which is gonna help motivate the camera. So he's lifting it up. And then the camera's gonna go down briefly. Sorry, this might be a little abstract. Kid's here. He drops the box onto the table right there. So we're still just focusing on this food. And what this is going to do is he's going to put his hand, so he's here. He's going to put his what's he going to do? He's going to brush aside the box. He's going to brush aside the box with his hand. This storyboard might actually be a little too abstract for my liking already, in terms of my drawings. And that action that he does, where he pushes it off to the side, is going to motivate the camera to go to screen left. I almost gave him another set of eyebrows. We're going to see we're like in a cafeteria or something like that. He's like, man, it's like, there's never cookies. And so the camera's pulling back to, so he's at a table or something like that. And then here's his friend, you know, munching on a sandwich. What kind of hairstyle do they have? Square. They have like this weird military-ish Drago hairstyle from Rocky IV. He's like, I don't know, he says something. He's like, you need to learn to eat more healthy. And that kid's, he's still mad he doesn't have any cookies. So the camera's still pulling back a little bit. But then, oh my goodness. Okay, sorry. I just had an idea that would be way too time consuming. Hold on. Okay. I'm having to suppress an idea I had. I just had this idea for a really cool long tracking shot. And I realized it would use up all my time. So he's still talking. So that goes like that. We're kind of pulling back across the table, if that makes sense. So that we can see this kid here. This is the kid that knocked over his lunchbox. He's there. This is the kid who's talking. I'm also going to decrease the size of this brush. It's a little too big for what I'm doing right now. I'm gonna see some other kids here eating their food and talking and stuff. Maybe there's a kid. We don't want any kids in the foreground. Only kids in the background. And so then what he's gonna do is he's then gonna get up. He's gonna get up. Here's this kid still eating his sandwich. So he's gonna get up. Also, part of the problem is that with the scene is that the more characters they are, the harder it is to draw storyboard panels like this. And so then he's going to, here's the kid with the sandwich. So our main kid who flipped over his lunch and everything is going to go back this way. So he's going back behind these kids. The camera is going right to left. So here's all these kids eating their food. Yeah, this might have been a scene that I should have done with a different perspective. So he walks this way, and here's all these kids. So we're gonna have a kid wipe in the foreground. I am still doing a tracking shot, unfortunately, but I toned down the scale of what I was originally thinking I would do. Because originally I was thinking of having this idea where he like scans the whole cafeteria and is like going around and okay, cool. All right, so that was the first 5 minutes. Let's see, how do I think about it? That was the first 5 minutes. We got, yeah, okay. I will continue this scene like this. This is going to be a bit tricky. Yeah, I'll continue the scene like this. It is difficult because there's multiple characters, and now I'm focusing more on acting in this one. But I vaguely know where I want it to go. So we're basically starting with this big long tracking shot right now. So we have, this is the subject, it's the lunch. He doesn't have a cookie. And so he's looking around, and the tracking shot is going to be him exploring about, just very briefly, looking for a cookie until he like gets a tip, where it's like someone references, it's going to be like, ooh, it's like, well, I heard in the janitor's office or something like that there's cookies or something like that, or maybe in the where the teacher's lounge. So it's gonna be something like that, and so then he's gonna like sneak in there, and so the freeze reveal is gonna be on a walk and talk where some friends give him a tip. That's what I'm planning. So okay, cool. All right, I am going to, this is a scene that maybe would be cool if I were to do it again in a little bit more detail. In terms of like scale everything up. But for now this works. Alright. Back at it again. So I'm gonna start again in, this should be like a 15-minute session for drawing, because I just took a little pause. Is it 3, 2, 1? Okay, so he's... The big long tracking shot that I said I wouldn't do is now kind of exactly what I'm doing. So there's kids at the lunch table. He's gonna kind of peer over as he's walking. He's gonna do this thing where he walks backwards. Because he would have done a twist while walking. See this? Yeah, whatever. I understand what's happening. I don't know if this can be really clear. So he does like a spin as he walks. He doesn't see anyone else with food that he wants. I remember in elementary school trying to negotiate food with people. Where someone had better food than you. And try and barter. Contrary to popular belief, what they tell you about in history class, the currency system actually came from lunches. It didn't come from the bartering system being traded out thousands of years ago. I'm going to do this little stance where he's looking up and over. He's going to look back. And what's going to happen is someone in the foreground is going to show up. He's looking kind of backwards. So we know he's walking towards these people. Maybe these are some friends of his. And he's still looking around. For some food. And his friends are, maybe they're walking to the trash can or something like that to throw away their food. He's looking around mischievously. This is shot like, I don't know, some sort of 1960s, 1970s style, like, I'm trying to think how I'd describe it. Anyway, we're going to get to this shot where it's going to be a walk and talk. Where he's going to be kind of in the background. And then here's a whole bunch of friends. They're all walking together. I need to decrease the brush size again. Okay. So this is going to be a walk and talk where it's all these characters. You have this kid on the end. He's just drinking something. That's because I don't want him to do any acting. It's going to be too difficult for me to get him to do acting. It's going to be too time consuming. But I want it to feel like there's a whole bunch of people. He's going to barge in. He's like, hey. It's like, you got any cookies? This kid It's like, hmm. Oh no, he's not really paying attention to him. He's talking to the other guy. And his expression's gonna be like, he's like, oh no, sorry dude. He's like, yeah, no, there's no cookies around. And this guy's still drinking. And then he's gonna turn to that guy. It's like, hey, you got any? See, I think I've said this before that he's like, nah man. He's gonna throw, he has like a paper bag or something like that. He's gonna curl it up. It's like, nah, I don't got anything. He's gonna throw it casually behind him because he's cool. Okay, so as I was saying, I think I've said this before, but I for some reason instinctively always have characters walking around as if they're wearing big like leather jackets or trench coats. So he always has his hands in his pockets. He's like, already ate them. And it's not because I'm afraid of drawing hands or anything like that. It's more just I think it's kind of visually funny sometimes because it always makes characters look like they're skulking about. So now here's the difficult portion is that I don't know what natural dialogue they should have and what they should be discussing. Because really what should be going on is that there should be some sort of drama that's happening that's related to the plot if this were a movie. This is a scene where the characters would be talking about something else completely. And then it would work its way into the reveal that there's another cookie or something like that. And then that would motivate him to go in that direction. So this scene actually does really require extra dialogue that's related to whatever story's happening. I don't know why I gave him a... So these guys are talking about something that's related to the plot. This guy's still drinking his drink. This guy's, I don't know, he's motioning something with his thumb. And these guys are kind of leaning in and talking to him. Again. this would make more sense if we knew what the plot was of this movie. And then what's going to happen is this character is going to take his drink out. And these characters are going to... They're still talking. They're talking about whatever's important as they're walking and talking. And our character is going to look to screen right so that we're not fully paying attention to this guy as he's entering screen left. And then what he's going to do is he's going to say the thing where he's crumpling up his milk carton or whatever the heck he was drinking. As these characters are talking back here, it's going to like, hey, it's like, did you try the janitor's office or the teacher's lounge? He's gonna throw the carton over to screen right. He's going to enter the foreground because there's going to be like a trash can over here. Oops, I drew these out of order. And then what's going to happen is that the other characters are going to keep on walking ahead. So essentially what's going to have to happen is that somehow he brings up the janitor's closet, or not janitor's closet, teacher's lounge. And it needs to be about a subject that isn't directly tied to this guy's goals. But then he's going to mentally realize it. So it's going to be something like, oh man, they're going to have a party later today. You know, something like that. And it's like, and the teachers are preparing for it. There's going to be lots of like desserts. And so then what's going to happen is that this guy, we're going to have to pan in on, or push in on him. And so this is going to be our freeze reveal, where he's thinking, and then he's connecting the dots, where he's like, wait a minute, I could break in. You know, I could break into the, This is his mischievous face. It's like I could break into there. So then what we'd have is a long hallway shot. You know, cut to wide hallway shot, and there's a whole bunch of kids walking by at the end of the hall. But one of them stays behind. There he is. We're gonna cut in. Or maybe we'll cut behind him. Yeah, teacher's lounge is all the way at the end of the hallway. Something like that. It's like all the way down there. It's shadowy and dark and dank. no more kids in the background. He's gonna look off to his left. Just to make sure no one's watching him. And he's gonna go forward. Okay, so that actually just ends that session in terms of time. Oh, thanks. The Yap session. Oh, thank you. All right, cool. So that ends that part of the session. I'm still gonna finish this scene. As you can tell, I did not even remotely get close to 85 drawings. 80 to 90 drawings. I got to, 16, 32, plus, yeah, no, so I didn't even get close. This is a scene that might have been better if I'd drawn it in the other fashion, where I'm drawing it in a bigger panel, like this, where I just have a big panel, and, I draw like this. This actually probably would have been easier and faster, because since I have so much acting, it's better for me to be able to do onion skinning, if that makes sense, to like track the character's acting. And then I can just duplicate drawings if I just want a character to do one action like that. See, here's that. So, yeah, so you see that's a lot faster, drawing it in this method, than it is in the way that I'm currently doing it. That being said, I'm going to commit to this way, just because it's good practice. So, and I don't think there's anything unbeneficial about learning to draw on stage scenes like this. So, okay, cool. All right, I'm going to start the next session in just a second. A very long definition of second. But that is me sipping coffee next to the microphone. Okay. Also, I already know I want this drawing to be like that. I want to feel like it's a big dramatic moment for him. Hallway is scary down there. Or I could do the thing that they did in like Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, when like the Nazguls are coming at the end of the forest trail. I could do something like that, like a weird dolly zoom. All right, I'm gonna start again. 3, 2, 1. Gonna have a dark room. Door creaks open. Oh, what would be really funny? Okay, sorry. This is gonna be really hard to show in here, but it's gonna be a door creaking open, and it looks like we're in a wide shot. It's gonna look like we're in a wide, but really what we're doing is we're actually seeing him open the door through a yeah, see, this is a really time consuming way to do this. We're actually looking through a mirror, So what's going to happen is he's going to be in like the doorway, just sitting there. Just standing there menacingly. And then what he's going to do is it's going to walk through the room. So this is all in shadows. And then once he gets close to the camera, he's in shadows. He's then going to pass it in the foreground because we're actually looking into a mirror. He's going to be like looking behind himself. This is a technique. He's going to look behind himself at the door they just walked through. This is a technique that was used, I think, a bit more in the past. I don't think they use it as much anymore. Where you just use mirrors as much as you can to make it ambiguous as to where people are in space and to add interest. And so that's what I'm doing here, is because we just entered a new scene. I think it's kind of funny to make the space of this room questionable and a little bit confusing just by having that mirror. So he just walked past it. Now he's walking alone through the teacher's lounge. It's very spooky and mysterious. And there's chairs, and I don't even know what would be in the teacher's lounge. Chairs, I guess. I was never able to get back there as a kid. There's stuff. Oh yeah, they said there's gonna be a party. That's what they're talking about. So there's balloons and stuff set up, different things and shelves, and we're gonna cut to him in the foreground, and there's gonna be like books on the wall because it's a school. And he has an egg-shaped head. He's looking around. And there's a balloon behind him. And maybe balloons by his feet or something like that. He looks down at them. Just something to make it look like he's looking around. Then we're going to see just around the corner is a big, he can't see it yet, a big container of cookies. And it's going to be slightly out of focus. So we can see it, but he can't. And he's going to round this corner. Huh. It's kind of, yesterday I did the same thing with a character rounding a corner out of the shadows. He's almost going to walk too far. Then his eyes catch it. You see he's in mid-motion. Like Bigfoot. He's doing like the Bigfoot stride right as he comes around the corner. He stops. Huh? And then we cut to this extreme like wide-angle lens or something like that. There's the cookies up there. Okay, sorry, this is a bad drawing. This is a bad drawing. But there's like a light on them. Jeez. He's still in mid-step. And he relines himself. Huh? Dothst my eyes deceive me? Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna... I think actually maybe it shouldn't be an ultra wide angle lens yet. Like it should sort of be a wide angle lens, but it shouldn't be too extreme. It should just feel really far away. I think that's better. If it just feels really far away. These are chairs and tables and stuff. I don't know what. And so what's going to happen is the camera is going to push in very slowly. Because it's like luring him in. You know, it's like drawing him. And then we're going to cut to a long lens. Because that's what we have to do for this drawing prompt. And so everything's going to be out of focus. And he's going to be walking towards the camera. He's getting drawn in. If we really want to do something funny, we could do like a snorri cam. I don't know if you know snorri cam, but it's like when you have a camera like physically attached to the actor, actor or actress, and then as they're moving, the camera is stabilized on them so that it makes it feel like the world is moving around them instead of them moving. It gets used in music videos and is used for a whole bunch of funny scenes in movies. In like the Muppets movie, there's a scene where they kind of parody the use of a snorri cam by having it on one of the Muppets and have him run through a scene. So now I'm gonna draw the camera moves in with a red. So we're pushing in. Again, because we're doing a long lens scene, it's you keep on cutting back and forth between shallow depth of field and the ultra wide angle lens, which increases our depth of field. So here's everything that's out of focus behind him. Getting closer to the camera. His hand might be instinctively being raised. The camera is going to magically rise up to the cookies in this box. Almost like a ghost or a spirit, you know? It's kind of emotionally what we're getting at, is that this is like an out-of-body experience where the camera's moving on its own will. Cookies. We have the halo light on it. You know, something like that. We're gonna cut in super close to him. We're gonna see his hand wipe the foreground. Alright, sorry. This is getting kind of funny. And then we're gonna have this static shot. It's completely static. It's gonna be like very shallow depth of field. We can see the ray beams or something like that, and the dust particles in the air from the light source that's on it. And then I'm just going to copy and paste this. And his hand reaches up. we're gonna cut super close. Like really close. This is him like touching the Ark of the Covenant. Will he die? Will he live? Who knows? Okay, so we're gonna cut real close to his finger, his hand going to grab it. He touches the box. Nothing happened. Or maybe, I don't know, he takes a deep breath because he like inhales. You know, it's a big dramatic moment. He's like, all right, it's within his grasp. Now he has to commit. He's like, okay. It's like, I'm this close. So then he, you know, his hand clenches the box. And what's gonna happen is he slowly pulls it off the counter. You know, it goes this way. He slowly pulls it off the counter, and we're gonna get this dramatic low angle shot, like this super low angle shot as he pulls it back, the box back. It's gonna like cast a shadow down on him. There's a light source there. Sorry, this is a really rough drawing, but I know what it'll look like in my head, or like if it were cleaned up. And so he lowers the box kind of towards the camera. This is a bad way to describe this shot. It's just to add depth. It's to make the moment feel better. And he's gonna, what's he gonna do? In the box, yeah, we'll cut to another angle where he has it in front of him. It's here. Oh my goodness. Well, he, you know. He closes his eyes for a moment because this is a big moment. Maybe he gives a quick thankful prayer that he now has this box of cookies. And he's gonna open it. Sorry, I'm taking so much time on this, but yeah, his eyes are still halfway closed because he's relishing this moment. He opens it and I cut. There it is, it's opening. No cookies. They aren't in there. And okay, so that's technically last drawing, but I'm not in terms of my session. The session just ended, but I'm going to continue this because I want to do the reveal. He's like, what? Then the camera is going to do this weird Evil Dead thing where he's sitting there and it's just going to like zoom and like rush into his face. Like this is a big reveal, so the camera's just gonna fly in from behind him and he's gonna turn towards the camera in an extreme wide angle lens because it's like a ghostly spirit of realization of what's happening. And then the camera will swing around him. I know. Will yeah, camera will swing around him. And there is someone in the shadows who beat him to this same room. Here's his like abject look of horror as he realizes what's going on. And there's still the light source behind him, so now his face is in the shadows and it's really dramatic. There is another kid who beat him to it, but he doesn't know who this kid is. He's a mystery. And that kid has an armful of cookies. And he just slips backwards into the shadows. But then our kid character who's here, he's a little confused. He's like, what? And then what happens is, because he's in the shadows a little bit, because there's a light source behind him, then what's going to happen is the lights to the room are going to turn on. He's been framed. He's been framed for a crime he didn't commit. So the lights to the lounge turn on because the teachers are back. So here's the teachers' lounge, and here's the... So the lights are going to turn on. And we're going to get this low angle shot of him. It's like, you know, it's... The lights are going to be really heavy. It's going to be really dramatic. It's going to be like black and white lighting. Like really intense. You know, like the scene in The Incredibles where all the lights turn on for Mr. Incredible sneaking around. You know, he covers his eyes because it's too bright. That's an incorrect perspective. Okay. And his eyes are covered. He squints and you can just barely see because the light is so bright. And all he can make out is the vague shapes of teachers entering the room. Actually, I'm going to make this a little different. I'm going to make a... So this is going to be like out of focus or something as the teachers enter the room. So he just sees like blurry shapes entering the room, and you know, maybe one of the blurry shapes cries out in horror, where it's like, oh no, what have you done? And there's like people rushing in. They're like, no, the cookies. Sorry, you're gonna have to use your imagination for these drawings. And then his eyes, which are partially covered, whiten as he realizes what is about to happen. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull out of his expression. And he is now in front of the principal. How did this all happen? How did his life get to this point? Where did he go wrong? You know, it's things like this in life where it's like, it looks very small from the principal's office. Or in front of the principal. We're gonna have some slats on this window, so it kind of looks like he's in jail. You know, for the lighting that's coming through, something like that. There's just gonna be big principal, huge man, big man. And we're gonna have a big I don't know. Don't tread on me flag. Something like that. I don't know. Or maybe it could be like a bald eagle or something like that. You know, where it has the yeah, something. All right. I think this concept's gone far enough. All right, let's see. Okay, there was a bot that messaged me. Cool. Maybe he's like, he leans in. He's like, what do you have to say for yourself? You know, extreme wide angle lens. They did this stuff in the 90s more. Let's see his hands. And the kid is just dazed and confused. This has all happened so fast. Just a few moments ago. Everything was normal. And we can still see the slats from the lighting on him, or from the window. It's like, I don't know. He looks out the window. This is the last time he's ever going to see light. Then we're going to do a shift in focus. So he's going to become fuzzier in the foreground. In the background, it's going to become much cleaner. And maybe we're going to see someone out there. One of his friends. Maybe it's his lady friend. Who's sitting there lonely because he promised that he would play with her at, you know, play games outside. And now he can't. And she's going to be like looking around, waiting anxiously for him. Like, where'd he go? Like, he said he would be here to play games with me. Sorry, this scene is funny. At least I think it is. And yeah, she's like looking at her watch. You know, like, where'd he go? Because kids have watches, you know. It's a thing that a lot of kids have these days. Yeah, she's looking around confused. And then what happens is some other kids walk up to her and ask her to play games. And she unfortunately has to accept. But she still looks back. She's waiting. And so she's going to cross this line where she goes out of view. So sad. Very sad. If only he hadn't been easily tempted to try and steal cookies, none of this would have happened. Like, here's the the lighting on him. He knows he messed up. It would be funny if he looked down at his hands. Like, what have my hands done? You know? Oh my goodness. Yeah, so the principal's in front of him. There's the principal. And he looks at his hands. He's like, what have my hands done? Because maybe his mom earlier that day was like, you have to use your hands for good, not for evil, or something like that. So, or some sort of advice. And so now he's like rethinking, like it's all coming together where it's like, oh no, I'm a monster. I didn't listen to what my mom said this morning. He's having an existential crisis. And we then cut to this overhead shot. It's like 3/4. He just kind of like collapses in his chair in front of the principal. There's the beam of light on him. See, there. The principal's also in shadows. Okay. All right. I think that is good for today. I went overtime as per usual. Yes. All right, cool. Let's see. How many drawings was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we have 20 times 8. So, you know, like 160, 158 drawings. Yeah. Drawing this way just doesn't seem to be as fast. It's not as fast as for getting as many drawings, but I think it's much faster in terms of getting the story out. Because I'm focusing more on the major beats. So it's like, okay, I'm getting less drawings in, but I'm getting more story in. So, just to, sorry, taking a long time. Just to reiterate, okay, so what are the 2 prompts that we need to get in? We need to get a freeze reveal, which is when characters are moving or walking or talking, and somebody says something that gives a revelation to one of the characters, and then that said character pauses, but the camera keeps on pushing in on them as they like go like, wait a minute, that's a reveal of new information. And then the other thing we need to do is long lens space, which is where you have the emotions of a character in a shallow depth of field using a long lens to capture what they're feeling, and then use a wide angle lens to push in on what they're looking at. So the emotions on this side, on this half, get bigger and bigger to show that they're getting more attached to whatever's about to happen. And then this angle, or the wide angle, is showing us get closer and closer. I should probably talk about wide angle versus like long lenses or shallow depth of field. So wide angle lenses make Z space movement, like forward and backwards, feel way bigger. So if you have an ultra wide angle lens, your camera could push only like 6 feet forward and it will feel like it's moved at like 100 feet. Like it'll feel like it's moving really, really far. But then a long lens does the exact opposite. A character can keep on moving closer and closer to the camera, and it'll barely feel like they're moving at all. So if you're doing like a camera push, like let's say you have like a track or something like that, and you know, here's your subject over here. And you know, you have someone on like a cart with a camera. To do something with a long lens, you are going to need a lot of track to make it feel like the camera has moved at all with a long lens. Because they decrease the amount of depth in Z space movements. And so you need a lot more space versus with a wide angle, you might only need to move back that far. And it'll feel like a whole bunch of space has been moved. Or the camera's moved a whole bunch of space. So either way, we need to get a freeze reveal. We need long lens space. Both of those are done in this scene. So cool. I'm going to do a walkthrough of this. This will be a little rough, I know. But, because these drawings are rough. But, cool. Alright, let's go. Let me see, what's the fastest way for me to move through this? Okay, so we start with a lunchbox. The lunchbox is open. There's no cookies in here. Kid off screen grabs it. He flips it over. Flips out the ingredients. They fall out onto the table. Yeah, this is slow. Give me a sec. I'm gonna switch to my mouse. Okay, cool. All right, he flips it over. He flips ingredients. The camera then moves over right to left. He's like, man, there's no cookies in today's lunch. The camera pulls back, and this guy's like, oh, you just need to learn to eat healthier food. And the camera pulls back, and so here's our kid. He moves over to screen left as he gets up behind him. Camera pulls back and then tracks him. It tracks him. There's someone in the foreground who walks by. He's walking around. He's looking around. He's like, maybe there's some cookies at this table. Nah, there's no cookies. So then he spins around. So he's like walking backwards and scanning the crowd. He looks over. He sees something. Nah, not interesting. He walks over to his friends who are in the foreground. They're just walking and talking. He's still looking about. Then, he's walking up behind them. He's like, hey, do you know if there's any spots where there's cookies? Or do you guys have any experience? He's like, oh, no, we don't have any. And so then what happens is they start talking about the plot, whatever movie this is in. This guy throws some trash away. Maybe they're talking about, oh yeah, we have a big performance today. Blah, blah, blah. Did you get prepared for it? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm all prepared. I'm set up for the play that's going to happen later. And so they're talking about some big event that's going to happen later today. And so they're talking and talking and talking. And then this kid's like, man, I'm just excited for all the treats that we're going to have later. They're all in the, I don't know, teacher's lounge or something like that. I don't know. He accidentally dropped some advice. He tosses away his trash. The characters keep on walking and talking. But then our main character, he stops. He's like, wait a minute. The teacher's lounge has treats and snacks for the big celebration later today. Cut to a wide shot. There's some kids walking down at the end of the hallway. The kids are walking. One of them stays behind. Big spooky hallway. This probably should have been a POV, honestly. I might cut him out. I'm going to cut him out of this shot. I think this is better as a POV. Give me a sec. Yeah, I think that's, or like a false POV. Okay. Big scary hallway. He looks. Does anyone see him? Looks off the screen left. Nobody sees him. He walks off the screen right. We now cut to shadows. The shadowy figure opens the door. The shadowy figure walks towards us. And then we turn out it's a mirror. Or it turns out it's a mirror. And he walks past us in the foreground. He looks behind, back at the doorway. He's walking into the shadows. There's balloons and stuff set up for whatever celebration or event's going to happen. We pan left to right. So he's walking. He walks through some balloons. Boom, 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 boom. He's walking right around the corner. There's a nice little light source of something that's out of focus. He rounds the corner. Ooh, and he stops in his tracks. What's that? In the light? He stops. The camera slowly pushes in. We're drawn towards it. He is slowly walking towards the cookies in a long lens, because it is pulling his soul towards this. And then the camera is slowly raising and going up towards these cookies. Oh no, he's getting even closer to the camera. His hand involuntarily begins to raise. That's his hand. The camera lifts up and goes up towards the box of cookies. We cut in real close to his face. His hand moves past the camera. Then we cut to this shallow depth of field, you know, box of cookies in the light. His hand reaches up. He goes, cutting closer, cutting closer. He touches it. He takes a deep breath. Okay, he's ready to take this box of cookies. His hand grabs it, pulls it back. Get this low angle shot, very big and dramatic. You know, cookies drop down. He opens it. Or no, he hasn't opened it. It's in his hands. Closes his eyes. Says a quick prayer of thanks. He opens it. Opens the box. And it's empty. What? Camera flies in behind him. Goes past him. And then orbits around him. There's a shadowy figure behind him. Oh, wait, what is this? There's a figure. He has a handful of cookies and he's eating them. He slips back into the shadows. Wait, what? It's like, what's going on? The lights turn on. It's like, oh no, he's been framed. He hides his face. He looks through his eyes as his eyes adjust to the bright light. He sees figures walk in. Teachers. What? Oh no, they're screaming and yelling. Oh my goodness, who could have done this? And then we see his eyes and his expression. He's like, oh no. And we pull out. And then we see he's in the principal's office. There's nice little shadowy beams from the slats of this window. And then we cut to the principal with this big dramatic poster and an extreme wide angle lens. And he leans in. He's like, what do you got to say for yourself, young man? Or something like that. And he's just there. He's confused. This has all happened so fast. How could this happen? He looks out the window. And then we do a tilt shift or the depth of field changes. So he's out of focus and we focus on someone in the background outside. There's one of his friends, maybe his lady friend, who has a ball, who's waiting for him at recess, but he's not there. And she looks at her watch and she looks around. Where could he have gone? And some friends walk up to her and they're like, hey, let's go play some games. And she's like, yeah, okay. But she's sad because she wanted to play games with him, but he's now in the principal's office. And so you see now we have the dramatic lighting across his face. And he's like, oh. You know, he looks, there's the principal. He looks down his hands because his mom told him something like this could happen if he didn't use his hands for, the idle hands or the devil's play things or something like that. He looks down his hands. He's like, what have I become? I'm a monster. And he lowers his head and there he is. It looks like he's just been sentenced to like life in prison or something like that. All right. That is the scene. It is an interesting scene. It's funny. Yeah, that's interesting. It was very interesting. That's all I can say. I don't think I've ever done a scene like this before. So, you do something new every day. That you try to do something new. That'll be my quote. All right. Well, I'm going to go. I have work to do. Thank you all for dropping by. For people who looked at this. Weird scene that I did. About a kid stealing cookies. That's very dramatic. Yeah, so thank you very much for your time. Please have a great rest of your day, and see you later. Bye.